Welcome back to American History with Mr. Finn. We are looking at someone today called Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson is going to be an influential person in the early 1800s of our country. We're coming into the early 1800s, and something that we will start talking about. Let me write that down here, just so we have an idea. Early 1800s. We're going to look at something called, for our class, Westward Expansion. Westward expansion basically means we're moving west. People are living in the United States. Our population is going up. We need more land. As we have more population and we need more land, we start to move west, and that is westward expansion. The problem that happens when we see westward expansion in this class in American history is that people still live there. People are there. People have been in this country or in this area, in this land, since the beginning. And westward expansion is going to bring us uh, into contact with Native Americans. Which leads us to one of the more unfortunate parts of U.S. history class is what happens to the Native Americans, how they are dealt with, how that all goes down as we talk about the United States of America. And it is not a pleasant topic because it it was it was a topic that we were unable to, as a country, seem to put something together that would work for people on both sides. Whether you were a Native American, whether you were a colonist in the beginning, whether you were an immigrant later on, or you're moving. Like we just couldn't seem to find a way to make this work, and that is unfortunate. It is an unfortunate topic, and that brings us to Andrew Jackson. Actually, Andrew Jackson, during this time period, is going to get very famous. So before we get to westward expansion, and before we get to the Native Americans, that we will see for a while, because we do westward expansion for a few months, really. Um, Andrew Jackson is going to be, at the time of the early 1800s, considered a war hero. Now, what war, do you ask? We don't really talk about, but Andrew Jackson is going to be a war hero in the War of 1812. War of 1812, never heard of it. Well, basically, the idea is in the early 1800s, around 1812, who comes back? The English return. And we don't really get into too much about the War of 1812 because the English come back and they say, hey, we don't want to give up on our colonies. We lost that revolution. We can still have them back. They made us a lot of money. Let's go back and try to regain America. Uh, and the War of 1812 lasts like 2 years. There's no real outcome that helps the British. It basically the most important thing that comes out of it is Andrew Jackson because he gains popularity in the Battle of New Orleans. Battle of New Orleans. He becomes super famous around the country. People love Andrew Jackson. He is viewed as the every American man. He really was popular with the people who were living on the frontier, and he just gained a lot of popularity during this time period. And a lot of our presidents have been war heroes. I mean, George Washington was. Andrew Jackson will be. We'll see others like Ulysses S. Grant and other people like that. Um, that gain popularity through war and then move on into political office, and that is Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson is actually, fun fact, as we do sometimes, he is on your, if you have one, he is on your $20 bill. Or you could say on the $20 bill. But either way, he gets super popular. He even ends up on our money. He's one of these guys. But something that happens under his watch and something that we look at in class is we take stances on issues, and I ask you to say, what do you think about this, now? And that's part of what we do in school um, with Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was, again, super popular. He became president, but he's going to be president over the time period that we see something called the Trail of Tears. Trail of Tears is going to be forcibly moving Native Americans off their land. So let's say, I want to have the definition for you if I ask you about this on a quiz. uh, force Native Americans, basically, let's say this, to move west onto reservations. So it's really a unfortunate event. This Trail of Tears that happens, you're going to see a Native American tribe who's going to go through the process of saying, listen, this is our land. We made treaties. We made deals. We've abided by everything, meaning we learned English. We are dressing in the way that you would like us to dress in. We are farming. We are not, we are trying to just kind of acclimate to your country. I mean, really assimilate into the United States of America. Assimilate means to be kind of like sucked up into America, and this is what this Native American tribe was doing. In fact, even when they were told, "Hey, too bad, you got to go," they didn't fight. They took it to the Supreme Court. Went to the court. They did everything by the book, and then even as it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, "You know what? They have done everything correctly, and this is their land. So sorry." Well, Andrew Jackson stepped in and said, "Doesn't matter. We're still moving them." So Andrew Jackson's going to have, at the time, think about this. At the time, if you were living in America and you were a United States citizen and there was land there, and then the president says, "You know what? I'm going to give you that land. It's all yours." You'd say, "Oh, wow, this is great." And so everyday people were like, "Yeah, Andrew Jackson's fantastic. However, how did you get that land?" Well, it was a Trail of Tears, forcing the Native Americans off their land. So Andrew Jackson has been a figure now that's been big in the news in recent years because people view his actions today differently than the people at the time viewed his actions. So the point is, with Andrew Jackson, that is I'm asking you to do a little bit of research to give me your view on Andrew Jackson. Because this, again, is something that we do in class. Every once in a while there'll be topics where I'll ask you, could this have gone differently? When we get to World War II, we're going to see something called the atomic bomb. What's your opinion on that? You create your own opinion based on the information that you get. That's why we're in school, guys. So the idea for today is, we know Andrew Jackson at the time was viewed as a very popular president. People loved him. Again, he's on the $20 bill, but he also was president at a time that was doing things that were negative and hurting other people. So there are tons of stories about opinion pieces about Andrew Jackson in general. Some people say, hey, maybe another person should be on the 20. Some people are like, no, he should be on the 20. So I mean, there's even a debate on Andrew Jackson being on the $20 bill. So your view on Andrew Jackson is your assignment today. So go take a look. Type in Andrew Jackson. See what you find. What do you think? Tell me a little bit about what you think about Andrew Jackson. It doesn't have to be much. We can keep it at a half page, where you just give me your opinion. Read some stuff. I saw this. I read this. This is what I think. And it's about you. So there's no wrong answer. You can not wrong at all. If you say, hey, Andrew Jackson did what he had to do at the time to make sure that people had land and he was helping the United States, okay. If you say, hey, I don't like Andrew Jackson because he forcibly removed Native Americans and that was terrible and the Trail of Tears is terrible, okay. There is no wrong answer. This is your view on this person. And again, I'm looking forward to see what I get. Half page on Andrew Jackson. And it's just really your view, what you find, and information about Andrew Jackson. We're going to continue moving westward. But again, make sure you turn this in today. You guys have been doing a fantastic job of getting your work in for participation and attendance. And I look forward to seeing you next class.